Hello everybody, and today, Mega Man 6. So we're kind of jumping around with the order that we do these runs in, based off of my personal opinion of which games are the best. I actually do like 6 more than I like 3, but most people generally prefer 3, so I did that one first. So we're going to do 6, hopefully. I think the next one I'll do, after giving it some more practice runs, would be 5 or 1, and whichever one of those I don't do, I'll do next, and I'll do 4 last. 4 is not bad. There's just reasons to do 1 or 5 first. 5 because of Darkman's Castle, and 1 because, well, it's the first one, so 1's tough though, so I'm gonna have to do some practice runs on that. And without any further waffling, let's jump right into it. Alright, let's do this. So, not a whole lot of backstory there. This was the last of the original NES titles to be released, so there's that. But basically, the plot is that there was a giant robot tournament where all of these robots came together, and then Mr. X, who looks familiar, took over the robots shortly before the competition was to begin. Mega Man is of course tasked with bringing these robots back to their creators and stopping all the chaos, pretty much. So I guess the main difference with this plot compared to the other Mega Man series is that Mr. X is the head of a big corporation instead of like just Wily being in a castle or whatever, so it's like a corporate scheme or whatever. And also, these robots aren't made by Wily or Light. They weren't plans made by either of the scientists. Some of them, I think Plant Man, according to the comics, was originally the plans of Dr. Light, but I don't think any of the others are related at all. So yeah, pretty basic as far as this goes. Again, like the heavy plot stuff really stops with 5. 4 wasn't as... Well, 4 introducing new characters, but the major plot building points stopped after like 5, honestly. So yeah, Centaur Man. I start with him. Most people start with Flame Man, I believe. There's a little bit of backtracking with starting with this route, but I feel like this is the easiest route for me at least. One thing that I really like about this game is how tight the controls are. Like, everything's really responsive. Slide doesn't feel laggy, unlike how it does in 3. We also have Charge Shot. Charge Shot's introduced in 4, but it makes a reappearance in 6. The problem with it in 4 is that Charge Shot did 4 damage to like all bosses, and so you only need 7 shots to take out a boss. Which was a bit broken. It made all the weapons worthless, essentially. So, they toned it down to 3 damage for 5 and 6. But they really only found a balance with it in 6 because the weapons in 5 were just atrocious. They also just reduced lag on a lot of stuff in general. Like, my inputs should be more consistent than my Mega Man 3 run. Oops. There we go. we go. Whee! Also, I feel like these are some of the more refined stages, like the more well thought out stages in the Mega Man series. They're well themed and have an appropriate link to them. Ooh, a life, nice. And they're really consistent with what they expect of you. There aren't too many bullcrap sections, if you know what I mean. Like, unlike some of the other titles. As long as you're patient, which is like the #1 thing you have to be when you play a Mega Man game. The expectations of the game are pretty well laid out in 6. Like this. Ooh. Like that fight was pretty fair. If I had stepped back a little bit, I wouldn't have taken damage there. Oh, so y'all saw that boss door up there? So this game introduced like fake robots. Basically, there's 2 boss doors. And while you can defeat the fake robot and the level will be considered completed, you have to defeat the real one in order to get some parts for an ally that we will be meeting later, because we will defeat the true bosses. But the first one is a fake, and this is why we have to backtrack, because this is the only stage we can't beat the true one outright. Ooh, man, I thought I got over him. You can make it over him, but... So he's not using it as of now. Something else they also changed was that you lose your charge when you get hit, which is actually a pretty good balance change. Oh. This is going poorly. Something he's not using right now is his ability to freeze time. So, similar to Flashman, he can freeze you in place temporarily, and if you're not far enough away from the wall, which is why I was hugging the center so hard, the spread of that blast of the shot will hit you if you're frozen there. And yeah, we get C-Flash for it. C-Flash is an all-screen attack, so it doesn't really do the time freeze mechanic, but it just deals damage to everything vulnerable to it on screen. Yeah, you can jump over Centaur Man, and I almost did it a couple times, but I didn't do a great job of it. Next is Wind Man. I actually like the Centaur Man fight. The solution's pretty fun. Just jumping over him is somewhat challenging. Like, obviously I didn't do it successfully in that fight. And then, trying to position yourself where he doesn't teleport on top of you, but you can still hug the center to avoid when he flashes. Again, he didn't flash in that fight, which is a weird AI. There we go. Usually if you get high enough on those panda enemies, you can force them into doing their straight shot. I'll take that trade. These guys are cool. So if you stay on the same level with them, they will randomly use their jets to give them extra momentum. And the fact that it's random gives it another challenge. It gives you another challenge to avoid them. Careful timing is required. I'm pretty sure that landing was like the last pixel I could have been on. That was tight. These platforms are cool, so whenever you jump on them, they flip to the other side. So technically you could stay on them forever. Also, we wouldn't be able to get that E-Tank without a certain upgrade that we can get in a later stage. Oops. Also, just shout out to the soundtrack that Capcom released for this game on iTunes. They have remixes of all the Robot Master themes. And they're all really chill and well themed. They're actually pretty good. If you want to check them out. We're probably not avoiding him. Yeah. I've been playing this game for years, and I still have no idea how to avoid him. Because he comes down a lot quicker than some of the enemies that are similar to him in earlier titles. Uh-oh. There we go. You gotta be careful here because we've got spikes. Like, that was close. And you also accelerate pretty sharply. For this run, I will be using the weapons. Not that I couldn't beat most of these. There are a couple that I would actually have to try pretty hard with, but I could beat most of these with Buster, but it's pretty arbitrary. None of them are like critically weak to the weapons. Hitting a Robot Master with their weapon weakness does the same amount of damage as a full charge shot, so I don't feel that pressed. Although, in this particular case, it means I don't have to aim. In other cases, though, I do have to actually aim. Yeah, I think he did everything he can do. He shoots the gyros, flies over on top of you, and uses his fan. Yeah, that's pretty much it. He's a pushover. He's another good option to start with, actually. You could probably start with him and then go into Flame Man. I find Flame Man challenging to do sometimes because his one of his attacks is pretty hard to dodge. So having his weakness is really helpful. With that said, Flame Man is next. This stage is really creative. Because you have these oil pits. Oh. There we go. You have these oil pits that will slow down your momentum. I'll show. So I can't jump as high, and I also move slower left and right. So they're kind of like a trap area for you to get hit by other stuff. But you'll notice that there's these fire enemies spawning fires from above. And if they launch a fire attack into the pits, they'll light them ablaze, and they become an instant death area, like the area below me there. Which is why I usually shoot those down before they get the chance to do that, because that just makes it harder. Also, Flame Man's theme is just good. I thought this was a unique secondary purpose for these enemies, making them into a platform. Ooh. Alright. Push moving. There we go. Ooh, wow. Okay, I thought he was going to drop that right on top of me. He almost did. Ah, dang. There we go. Those enemies can also light the oil pits. Ah, didn't mean to slide there. I believe there's a health pickup up here. That pit was pretty lit. Ah, dang. Well, that makes this next trick a bit more interesting, but not impossible. Just probably take damage doing it. Yeah, that's fine. Had poor charge shot placement on this run. Jeez. Well, that pit's lit. The trouble with getting hit by these guys is if I get knocked down, I will probably end up right in that pit. I am not sure if we are going to beat him first try. We will try it. Might have to lose a life to get my health back. I got lucky last time I did this, and took very little damage, but I doubt I'll get that lucky again. Oh. Okay, yeah, that one there is hard to dodge sometimes because you can't tell. Ooh. There we go. Yeah, you can't tell where they're gonna spawn, but we're good. Okay, cool. I'm pretty sure they are spaced regularly. However, I don't know if there's indicators for it. Probably should study that. That went well, though. And again, the only difference between what you saw there and what it would have looked like if I had, or if I used charge shot only, was that it would have taken longer because I would have had to charge every shot, and I would have had to be more accurate. It would have been more of a challenge in that case, but not that concerned for a casual run. But it would have done the same amount of damage, so. Yeah, Blizzard Man stage. I like these exploding platforms. You touch them and after a certain amount of time they explode. I think it's an interesting take on the, ooh, temporary platform. I forgot he sent that a bit higher than I thought. Like, you don't have to jump immediately off of them. In most cases I do, because I can. But they're also not destructible. Or indestructible, as I should say. Ah, I thought I was going to nail that. I like this team too. Go. Alright, so this is one of the stage hazards that we can take out with Flame Blast. Oh, I should have mentioned, the grounded attack that Flame Man used is the basis for Mega Man's down smash and Smash Ultimate. So yeah, almost all of Mega Man's attacks came from 2 and 3, but there were a couple of exceptions. I think the okay, I think the only exception to not being from 2 and 3. Ah, dang, I thought I was gonna be able to jump there. Is Flame Man and Mega Man's back air, which came from Slash Man from Mega Man 7. Whee! There we go. Got in a pattern there. That's the great thing about this game. If you get in a pattern, for the most part, everything's really easy to dodge. You just have to find the pattern. I think it's neat when the Mega Man, the correct playing solutions line up like that. So this section is kind of cool. So your shots, if you're on the ground, curve based off of whether you're going up or down. Or they appear to curve, at least. And now we're going to whip out the first of the Rush transformations. So instead of just giving us Rush straight up, they give us a Rush adapter. There's the Power Suit, and we'll get it later, and there's a Jet Suit. For all those flying sections that we all love. There are spikes on the ceiling, so I have to be mindful of that. Back up here. So about the Power Suit. So if your range is shortened, but you do rough, I want to say it's double damage. It might only be 1.5, but you do enhanced damage depending on how long you charge it. I'll whip it out real quick to show y'all. So base shot is this, which still does more damage than the regular shot, but of course less range. If you fully charge it, you get way less range, but I think more damage. So I haven't actually tried it against like a boss, because the mobility in it's pretty bad. Mobility is really important in a Mega Man game. The other thing you can't do in Power Suit is slide. In fact, only the original Mega Man can slide. You can't do it in Jet Adapter 2. So they all have their different abilities. Original Bot is by far the best for combat. Although Jet might not be that bad. That was risky. Okay. Okay, you know what? We'll take that. What I was trying to do there was actually create a save state because I messed up that part last time, so I was just not going to backtrack. But you know what? I should play honestly. Ow. We don't need that much health going into Blizzard Man's fight anyway. So the audio might sound weird, and it's not something in my recorder. It's actually an artifact of Charge Shot. So Charge Shot has its own sound effect, and it kind of takes up like the bass, I guess you would call it, tones for the audio. So kind of sucks that the music gets kind of messed with. Alright, just in case I mess this up. Alright, we're good. Cool. Okay, that's what I wanted to do the first time, but I obviously slid off the ledge. Jumping is really key on these ice sections because you stop all of your momentum by doing so. This is actually a pretty mediocre weapon, but again, it doesn't really change this fight much. It's just kind of this downward arcing fire pillar. Yeah, this is all he does, so we're not really missing anything. There we go. If Flame Blast hits the ground, it creates a pillar, similar to how Flame Man's attacks did. So, pretty mediocre weapon due to its range, but it is a key weakness to several bosses, so we use it. Blizzard Attack. That's a generic name. I didn't realize it was... That was the name of it. We will use that in one fight, and it's not even a Robot Master fight. Technically, Plant Man's weak to Blizzard Attack, but honestly, Charge Shot works just fine. I will actually use Charge Shot. And we are getting into what is probably... I would say this is the hardest stage in the game. Because, 1, it's really long. 2, there's some tricky platforming sections that we'll get into later. And 3, it's very easy to pick up a lot of damage. The boss isn't particularly tough, although he has his tricks, for sure. But there's just some sections later in the stage that can be hard to get around, or really easy to mess up on if you're not patient. It's a really good stage though, I like his theme too. Ah. Give us an E-Tank, give us an E-Tank. Ah. So this dude's interesting. Basically what he does is he just slowly comes at you and you can push him back by firing at his fist. You don't want to spend the whole time doing it though, because they'll eventually just start doing damage to you. But you gotta kind of manage. It's an interesting mid-boss. There's also a lot of surprise enemies in this stage, which can make things quite difficult. Some of them are fast, some of them are pretty slow. Like, I think there's... yeah. So these springs, if you hold jump, which for me is B, you go really high. So if you're not careful about when you're holding that button, you can get caught. Faux show. Oh, I should have just waited. Come on. Alright, there we go. If you're really consistent about damaging them, they're not that hard to take down. They don't have that much health. Like, see, that dude came on fast. And see, if you're not ready for those piranhas, they'll get you. Ooh, see, I didn't get a high jump there. Usually it's best just to not even worry about the piranhas, because you can't... See, I'm trying to avoid damage. Nice. Okay. Defeating one piranha does not ensure that they stay away forever. That's the real problem. They don't appear over every gap, but it's just enough of them where you gotta be really mindful of them. Because they will knock you right into the hole. Some of these jumps are also just ridiculously big. Like, there's some coming up. There we go. I don't think there's one here. Yeah, alright. Yeah, this jump right here is really, really big. Okay, ooh, we barely got over. That one's pretty big too. This one's also fairly large. You gotta be holding right the whole way or you aren't gonna make it. Nice. You can also get significantly farther right than what you might think. On those springs. That is so scary, because like the health stalls your fall a little bit, so it seems like you aren't going to make it. Alright. Like I said, this fight should be straightforward, but it's easy to mess up slides and take damage. I wish Woodman played more like this. I mean, I think Woodman's harder, but I like this too, because he just kind of throws it. And then you have to like read where he's going to go. Sometimes he does jump over your head, which he did there. Oh. Sometimes you gotta dash real fast like that. It's easy to mess up those slides, and if you mess one up, you're definitely taking damage because you need the extra speed that the slide gives you to take them out. Oh. It's all about reaction time, really. Oh. I thought he was dead. Cool, okay. That makes sense, because if each shot does 3 times 9 is 27, so it takes 10 shots to defeat him. Okay, cool. I wasn't doing my math. Cool, damageless. I like that solution a lot for that fight. And Rush Jet. So yeah, we get a Rush Jet. This is a nerfed version of... Oh, no, wait. I'm thinking of 4 and 5. So Rush Jet in this game is a jetpack. So you get a limited amount of height, but unlimited control moving left and right. You'll see it later. In fact, I think we... Yeah, we use it in this stage. Oh, this seems good too. Oh. that was auto fire, by the way. I do not actually fire that fast. I fire pretty fast, but not that fast. We should be using Power Suit. Nice. D-Tank. There's another really good remix of this on the Mega Man 6 soundtrack that they released that I talked about earlier. Oh, life. Alright, and here we will use Rush Jet. Whee! I hope I remember a bunch of the secret paths later, because like there's a number of paths, especially in the Mr. X stages, that are actually pretty neat. Like there's some optional, basically some optional boss fights up there that are pretty neat. I don't know why they put them in such convoluted routes, or I feel like they're convoluted. But yeah, we didn't miss much by not going that way. Oh, let's fly over them. Whee! So yeah, with this you get a limited amount of height. Or here, I'll go over somewhere right. So you get a limited amount of height, and then it stalls out. So I think it's pretty balanced overall. Not infinite height. Will fall. Ooh, we dodged them somehow. And destroyed them. Nice. Usually don't even bother. We just get up in this thing's face and basically just keep firing. Don't really need that life, but why not? Again, lives are kind of meaningless. Alright, so first we have to go top route because there's something we need to get, and then we'll take the bottom route. Top route leads to the fake boss, so let's get power. This is kind of precise. There we go. Okay. And now we'll use jet to get over there. Cool. And that is the only time we will see Proto Man this entire game. Okay, so Proto Man was heavily featured in Mega Man 5, so I guess they wanted to make up for him being so focused on for 5. Anyway, the item he gave us was an ability that we actually saw in the X series when we did that run. Basically, if we pick up weapon refills, it will automatically go to the weapon with the lowest amount of energy. I'm gonna use C-Flash here. Yeah. There are ways I could have defeated him. Whoa. Without using that, but it's just easier. Just because he was shooting at me. Alright, yeah, that's the boss door, so we just need to fly on over there. Whee! There we go. So this is the true boss door. And I'll mention why it's the true boss door and what it means later. What is he weak to? Oh, he's weak to plant barrier. Right. This is by no means a guarantee. This would probably be the hardest fight to do Buster only, because there's a lot of hitboxes. Then again, I usually fight right in his face because of the nature of plant barriers, so maybe it's not actually that hard. The trouble is, with using a lot of the Rail Master's weaknesses as well, is that they have a really long... That one's easy. He has another attack where he, like, flips his headdress? I guess is what this is called. Flips his headdress down and shoots out feathers at you, and that one's hard to dodge. The other attacks aren't that bad. I guess if you stand further back, the top feather goes faster than the other one, so you could like jump in between them. But again, if you're fighting with plant barrier, it's kind of hard. Anyway, you see at the bottom where it says B parts, so we have to spell beat, B-E-A-T. And that gives us one of the letters. Yeah, that's the first one. These bottom 4 have the letters. See how we don't have a letter for Centaur Man? That's because we beat the fake boss. The ones with the Mega Man life symbol on them mean that there were no letters there and we defeated the real boss. Because there was only one boss. So, I believe Yamato Man is next. So he's weak to... I think it's called Silver Tomahawk is the name of Tomahawk Man's weapon. I could be wrong. I wasn't really paying attention. Yeah, Silver Tomahawk. I like this theme too. Oh yeah, this is one of the secret routes. Nice. This is the one I think this is the one I was hoping to find. Maybe? Oh, there's another one in the Mr. X stages. I don't know why I'm using this for fun. Oh, because there's something up here. There we go. We're actually skipping a pretty big chunk of the stage by doing this. Oh, no, the fight is here. Cool. Okay, this one's cool. I forget what this boss is. Yeah. I think I just used pellets. It's... I don't know what this is, but it's beautiful. Whee! Ah, dang, slid the wrong way. Nice. I thought that was a creative boss. The attack pattern was lackluster, but like, that design was pretty cool. There's another one that I'm thinking of in the one in Power. There's another one I'm thinking of in the Mr. X stages. Pretty cool. It has a full animation. I usually skip it though. Whee! Yeah. You kind of saw we came out underneath some stuff. That would be where we meet up with the rest of the stage. Top path. I didn't mean Power. Top path, I believe, has our real Robot Master. I think the reason for that enemy up top was because of the jet suit, being patient with that. Oh. I didn't know this. Usually in Mega Man games, when you equip a different weapon or go to the weapon select menu, you drop your grip. You drop from the ladder. But I guess they changed that in this one, because we didn't drop there. Oh, I remember this section. Whoa. Okay. Let's get jet suit. Ah, dang. There we go. Those rotating platforms will come back. They're not particularly hard to deal with, but they are worth noting. Silver Tomahawk. Why not 2 saves? This weapon's pretty good for some of the bosses later, but it's kind of annoying because it arcs upward. Yeah, there you go. Ah. Okay, now something I don't get is why does he pick up this one Yamato that he throws, but not the 3 that he's shooting from the sky? And also, I guess it's just, I don't know. I like his aerial attack. I think that's a good attack. The one on the ground doesn't make sense. Yamato Sphere and Beat E parts. Yamato Sphere is basically like needle cannon. It's basically just another shot attack. Nothing special other than a little extra damage on some bosses. So, but that's not bad considering straight shots are usually the easiest to work with. Nightman stage. I'm gonna ignore the life. So these enemies are interesting. So whenever you shoot their thing, they stop shooting and poke their heads out to sea. What was that about? So this stage is all about traps and stuff, which I guess fits the medieval theme in some way. But the true enemy is that grinding. Oh, whoa, no. Okay. I should have just kept walking. Whatever. I think there's a health pickup somewhere. Cool. Yeah, all about traps and stuff, because this is like a medieval stage, I think. Because, you know, knights. Again, these platforms aren't hard to deal with as long as you're constantly jumping. Get up here. There is something over here, right? I was wondering if that room was just blank for no reason. The key thing with those enemies is realizing that charge shots are not a good offensive tool to use against them. Because they only take 2 shots to take out anyway. And the cooldown from charge shot often means that you can't get off. Yeah. You often can't get off the individual shots you need to actually take out the enemy. We're gonna stand over here and beat you. Oh, no we're not. Okay. He's zooming. He's mad. Dude. You did so much damage. I think we're past the midway point, so it's not that bad if we take a life here. Take a death, I should say. But who wants to die? We're on a deathless run, I think. So this area is tricky to play through, because you kind of gotta... Ooh. Yeah, that's why. Because, like, if you let yourself bounce, you're gonna take damage. But you can control your flight and avoid taking a lot of the damage that's around. I think we can... Nice. There we go. We might be able to do this fight without taking a life here. Nightman isn't that big of a threat. But this is a highly conservative weapon anyway, so... It's not that bad if we take a little bit of damage. Also, he does technically have a shield in the front. But Yamato's spear goes right through it. Okay, whew, took that. Alright. Yeah, so technically if you went against him with like charge shots and stuff, you wouldn't be able to attack him from the front like I just did there with Yamato's spear, which actually probably makes it fight a lot harder than what it was there. And it's probably why his boss pattern is super simple. But Yamato's spear goes right through it. Because spears are thick? I don't know. that joke was so bad I'm coughing because of it. Oh man. Alright, so now technically we can take on Mr. X, but since we didn't get the True Robot Master for Centaur Man, we don't have Beat. We don't need Beat, but why not build our little bird friend? So, also Centaur Man is weak to Nightman's weapon. I forget what it's called. I think it's Night Crusher. Yeah, I want to say it's Night Crusher. So yeah. I like this route the most. I think it's really chill. Because I just like Centaur Man stage, honestly. And you also just get a lot of... You make Windman a joke if you use weapons. If I were doing a Buster-only fight, I would probably start with Windman. Because, personally... Flame Man's tough. I don't know, I guess you could start with him, but... Because in a no weapons run, it doesn't really matter who you start with as long as you have the mobility when you need it. You just need to do Flame Man stage before, like, Tomahawks, and you need to do... You need to do Tomahawks. I forget who you get Rush Jet Adapter from. Maybe it's Plant Man? Anyway, you need Rush Jet Adapter before you go into some of the later stages, so... It's just whenever you need Power Suit and whenever you need Jet Suit, I guess. You get power from Flame, I know that. I can't remember. I guess we got Jet from Plant. I don't really remember. Honestly, Plant Man wouldn't be a bad stage to start with, because you don't really need anything. Like, I do that. Personally, I do that stage pretty much Buster only anyway. Dang, I was going to try to avoid him. Oh, fancy. That section can kill you right there if you're not quick, for sure. Because their shots do go high enough to hit you on some of those platforms. Ah, dang. There we go. Those bosses have more and less health than I think they do. Like, if you just stand there and fire at them, they go down pretty quick. But if you're just nickeling and diving them to death, it can take a while. Also, charge shots are pretty effective against that particular enemy because of how they go through the ice blocks. Alright, let's defeat the real Centaur Man. I'm just going to use Night Crusher to show off the weakness. This fight's totally fine with charge shot though. Ooh. Maybe he'll actually flash us this time? Ah, dang. I should have turned back sooner. I'm gonna see if I can't... Ah, dang. That horn. Oh, got it. Okay. There we go. He flashed us that time. So yeah, I can't move. And I jumped over him twice. Cool. Okay. Yeah, so you can definitely jump over Centaur Man. You just gotta be wise about when you turn back. Because that hitbox goes a little higher than what you might think. And with that, we get C-Flash again, and the Beat T parts. Now we have completed Beat. If you don't know who Beat is, he is a small bird friend that will go and attack enemies on screen for you. And the final boss happens to be weak to him. But we won't be using him against the final boss because he's kind of inconsistent, or Beat's kind of inconsistent. So, at least from my experience. So yeah. So now we've beaten all the Robot Masters, and we can see if Mr. X... or we can stop Mr. X from his nefarious schemes, but we will tackle that next time. So thanks so much for watching. I hope you're enjoying this run of Mega Man 6. Be sure to tune in for future parts, and yeah, also be sure to join us live for on Twitch for more additional content like Splatoon Smash and some other games, and also join our Discord so that you can become a part of the community. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next part. Rock 2000, signing off.